Namaste. And I would like to tell a story that's coming from the Mahabharata with its 100,000 verses. So this is just a little story we're going to pluck out of there. And it's about members of two families, the 5 brothers in the Pandavas and the 100 brothers, the Kauravas. It's got a lot of back history to it, so I'm kind of relying on the fact that you know the back history. So let's just dive now into it. And I'm going to read the story to you, and I've called it The Two Cousins. So let's begin. The 5 Pandava brothers exhibited all good qualities. They were humble, submissive to their elders, and kind and protective to those in need. However, not everyone liked the Pandava boys. When their father, King Pandu, died unexpectedly, they went to live under the protection of their uncle, Dhritarashtra, who would rule as king until the eldest Pandava boy, Yudhisthira, was of age. Dhritarashtra had 100 sons who were known as the Kauravas, and they seethed with envy when they saw the popularity of their 5 cousins. The eldest of the Kauravas, Duryodhana, could hardly tolerate their presence. So jealousy is a terrible emotion. Duryodhana had fully expected to inherit the throne from his father, but that was far from certain now. He and his 99 brothers had never displayed the same virtues as their cousins, and in the kingdom there had been widespread concern about Duryodhana becoming the next king, as his birth had been accompanied by many fearful omens. It was clear to everyone that the eldest Pandava, Yudhisthira, would be a much better choice. Soon after the 5 young brothers arrived, Duryodhana became insufferable to everyone around him. He stormed around the palace, venting his anger at his servants and smashing furniture. He's quite a spoilt brat, wasn't he? He sat brooding for long periods of time. He thought, why is everyone so enamored with the Pandavas? What did they ever have that I lack? How is their claim to the throne greater than mine? After all, it is my father who is now king. It was irrelevant to Dhritarashtra that his father had taken the throne by default just because his brother had died. Duryodhana further considered that his father had been the firstborn son and therefore he should have been king, and it was only because he was born blind that his brother was chosen. All these thoughts consumed Duryodhana day and night. Duryodhana's mortification at losing his status as the next king was compounded by the way his cousin Bhima, one of the Pandavas, treated him and his 99 brothers. Bhima had no time for Duryodhana's arrogance and the rest of his cousins. He especially found the haughty Duryodhana a troublemaker. A rivalry quickly developed between the 2 princes. From Bhima's side, it was mainly boyish and good fun, but for Duryodhana, it grew increasingly earnest. He found Bhima's antics intolerable. Bhima had outstanding strength. He would laughingly challenge all 100 Kaurava cousins to be in a wrestling contest. Not just one of them, he'd challenge them all together. When they ran towards him, he would toss them about like so many pieces of straw. He delighted in practical jokes and would frequently embarrass his cousins. One day, after Bhima had shaken Duryodhana out of a huge fruit tree that he'd climbed, Duryodhana felt he could take no more. It was time to act. He took his brother, Dushasana, aside and said, This Bhima is a constant thorn in our side. We cannot better him at anything. Even at eating, he consumes more food than 20 of us can eat. I tell you, brother, he is driving me to madness. Something must be done. And indeed, I have a plan. Duryodhana had been consulting with his maternal uncle, Shakuni, whom he found to be sympathetic towards his loathing of his cousins. Actually, Shakuni bore a grudge, and he found his chance for revenge when the scheming Duryodhana approached him as a mentor. As Shakuni whispered an idea on how to deal with the Pandavas, the corners of Duryodhana's mouth lifted in a sly smile as he listened. Duryodhana now spoke to his brother Dushasana. Listen, brother, tomorrow we will go on a picnic with our cousins. I shall personally arrange for some special dishes for the ever-hungry Pandavas. Looking around furtively, Duryodhana showed his brother a stem from the deadly poisonous datura plant. I hear this makes a delicious preparation when cooked with various spices. I think Bhima will eat up a whole pot full. He will surely not survive. And with the powerful Bhima gone, what can the other Pandavas do? My claim to the throne will be safe. Dushasana smiled. He had also suffered defeat and shame at Bhima's hands, and as well he wanted to do whatever was pleasing to his older brother. He idolized Duryodhana. Laughing together, the two princes rejoined their brothers and cousins walking along a wooded path back to the palace. They watched as Bhima enjoyed joking with the other boys, and the two brothers laughed at their plan. The next morning, Duryodhana suggested to the princes that they go to the river for some water sports. It was a hot day and they all agreed. With loud cheers, they all proceeded to the river. Reaching there, they entered a playhouse that had been constructed by the king just for the little princes. It was a 7-story mansion made of white marble. Quite the cubby house, wasn't it? Rows of colourful flags flew from its high roof. Inside were dozens of rooms filled with luxury and games. 100 armed bodyguards stood ready to protect all the boys. Duryodhana led the way through the mansion and out into the central courtyard. Here, my brothers, let us take our lunch together and then go for some water sports in the river. Now the prince knew that Bhima would not easily succumb to the poison. It would likely take some time before it became in effect. Duryodhana wanted to administer the poison as soon as possible, and so he brought the princes to the large lawn where a picnic was waiting. Sitting places had been arranged for all of them, with gold plates and cups laid out on low tables and many comfortable cushions. Suspecting nothing, the Pandavas were pleased. Servants showed them to the seats and began to serve the food. The expertly prepared food was delicious, and the boys ate hungrily. Duryodhana went to the kitchen where a trusted servant had placed poison in the food meant for Bhima. Duryodhana personally fetched this food and, with a pretense of affection, served Bhima with his own hands. Bhima wolfed down the deadly food as Duryodhana smiled in glee. He piled Bhima's plates with cakes and pies and poured him sweet drinks. Everything was laced with poison. After the meal was over and the boys had rested for a while, they raced down to the grassy riverbank. Throwing off their jewelled armbands and belts and silken robes, they dived into the clear rivers. Laughing and splashing around, they wrestled and tossed each other about in the water. Bhima, not yet affected by the poison, was his usual energetic self. He lifted and hurled the Kaurava boys way out into the river. Thrashing his muscular arms, he created great waves that knocked the princes off their feet. Bhima was having so much boys' fun. As the sun made its way towards the western horizon, they began to tire. Duryodhana said, "Let's head back to the city." The boys got out of the river, dressed, and gradually began to make their way back. At last, Bhima began to feel the effects of the poison. He felt dizzy, and his eyes felt unbearably heavy. Falling behind the other boys, he lay on the riverbank and fell into a deep coma. When Duryodhana saw Bhima laying down, he pulled Dushasana aside and said, "Now is our chance." The two Kauravas waited until the others had gone far ahead and then fetched a long length of rope they had concealed nearby. They knew that Bhima might possibly survive even the huge amount of poison they had managed to feed him. As a backup plan, they intended to throw him into the river. Looking around to make sure they were alone, they crept up to Bhima. After tightly binding him with the rope, they hauled him into the river. As the unconscious prince sank beneath the waves, they turned and ran to catch up with the other boys. As they ran, they praised each other for a job well done. They experienced no remorse for their cowardly, deadly actions. Meanwhile, Bhima was carried underwater by the currents which swept him along a mystical watery path. It led to the abode of the celestial serpents known as the Nagas. Seeing a human mysteriously arrive amongst them, the angry Nagas at once bit him all over. Their venom acted as an antidote to the poison administered by Duryodhana. Bhima slowly came to his senses and looked around. He was lying on a strange riverbank surrounded by large, hissing serpents, their fangs bared. Bhima flexed his muscles and burst open the ropes that tied him. Leaping to his feet, he picked up the snakes with both hands and dashed them to the ground. Some he pressed into the earth with his feet, and others he threw a great distance. When dozens had been rendered unconscious by Bhima, the others fled. They went to their king, Vasuki, and fearfully said, "A very powerful human has come into our midst. We could not overcome him. He is down by the river." Vasuki knew that no ordinary human could come there. He had to be either a rishi or a demigod. The Naga king rose from his jewelled throne and went towards the river. He was accompanied by one of his chief Nagas called Arka. Many years before, Arka had lived in human society. He was Kunti's ancestor. Kunti was the Pandavas' mother. And when he saw Bhima, by his celestial vision, he recognized him as his great-grandson. Arka introduced himself to the Pandava and embraced him warmly. Vasuki felt pleased to see the pious Pandava prince. Realizing that he must have been brought there for some purpose, he asked Arka, "How can we help this boy?" Arka looked at the strong youth and smiled. "I think this prince would benefit most from drinking our famous rasa." Vasuki agreed and ordered his servants, "Bring him to the palace and let the rasa be fetched." The Naga's ambrosial beverage was distilled from many heavenly herbs. It conferred upon the drinker celestial power. The Nagas watched in amazement as Bhima sat and drank 8 pots, one after the other. After finishing the drink, Bhima again felt sleepy. He was shown to a bed in the palace where he lay down. For 8 days he remained in a deep sleep as his body digested the rasa. On the 9th day he awoke, feeling extremely powerful. Arka said to him, "You now have the strength of 10,000 elephants. None will be able to defeat you in battle. Come now and eat something. I shall then return you to the surface. Your family members are anxious." Duryodhana's plan really backfired, didn't it? Nagas offered Bhima delicious celestial preparations and then dressed him in fine white silks and golden ornaments. Arka then accompanied Bhima to the river. Telling him to close his eyes, Arka entered the water with him, and within moments, Bhima found himself standing alone on the Ganges bank near the playhouse mansion. He immediately began to sprint back to the city. Meanwhile, his mother Kunti sat silently, filled with worry, as she thought, "Where is Bhima?" His brothers were surprised he was not in the city when they returned. They thought he'd gone on ahead of them. They searched everywhere in the city, but not finding him, they returned to the river and walked up and down the banks, but no one could find him. Where, oh where is Bhima? Kunti suspected some evil plot. She knew of Duryodhana's disposition towards her sons. Revealing her mind to Vidura, he was the brother, Pandava's father, she said, "I feel the Kaurava prince may have killed my son." Vidura shook his head. "That can never be, dear Kunti. Vasudeva has prophesied that your sons will live long. Those words cannot be proved wrong." But remembering the evil omens at Duryodhana's birth, Vidura nevertheless warned Kunti to be on her guard and said, "The Kaurava prince might spread rumours and lies even against you." The first fake news. During the 8 days of Bhima's absence, Kunti and her other sons were in complete anxiety, considering surely Bhima has met with some calamity. Then, soon after sunrise on the 9th day, they saw him running along the road towards their palace, his white silk clothes billowing in the breeze. He went straight to his overjoyed mother and respectfully touched her feet. His brothers embraced him with tears in their eyes and eagerly asked where had he been. Bhima understood what had happened to him. When he had seen the ropes tied around him, he immediately suspected Duryodhana, and his suspicions had been confirmed by Vasuki, who, with clairvoyance, informed him of all that had taken place. Bhima told his family about his visit to the celestial world of the Nagas. They were all very thankful for his safe return. It seemed by divine arrangement Bhima was safe, despite Duryodhana's efforts to kill him. The eldest brother Yudhisthira was shaken to hear of Duryodhana's antagonism. He considered the situation carefully and discussed it with his mother and brothers. He concluded that it would be best to remain silent. If the Kuru elders were informed, there would be open hostility between the two families. When the Pandavas' father Pandu died, their position was now very vulnerable. The blind Dhritarashtra was now the king, and he doted on his own sons, especially Duryodhana. He would be unlikely to go against them in order to protect his nephews, the Pandavas. Vidura was the one person they trusted, and that is why Kunti confided in him. He confirmed Yudhisthira's decision. The brothers therefore agreed to say nothing about the incident. But from that day onwards they were vigilant, always expecting more treachery from Duryodhana. The clouds were beginning to form for what would become the epic dynastic confrontation the Battle of Kurukshetra. Namaste.